My mom was also like the type of Pentecostal holiness woman who wore a lace doily on the top of her head.
Oh God, I'm loving every second. I'm like hanging onto
on the
every
top
word.
of her cherry curl.
You said doily and I went, say more. Hello, everybody. What is up? Welcome to Normalize This, the famous show, the most famous show in the world, where we discuss whether or not ideas, trends, and behaviors should be normalized in everyday society. My name is Adam Rippon.
Was that a society I heard?
There's always, it's for the society. You told us I'm following through.
Follow through, Adam Rippon of the society.
Yes.
I'm Danielle Young, and hi.
And hi, Danielle is also, she's the actually president of the society.
Listen and learn.
I am now going to tell, I'm the other president, vice president. Sometimes we alternate. Mostly it's me being the vice president, just repeating things the president says. But today, today on Normalize This, we are going to discuss religion and spirituality. Spirituality. Okay, there's a spirit going through my body that's not letting me finish that word.
In, hold it out. Hold it in, hold it out.
Spirituality. There we go. That was better. Okay.
That's sort of.
Yeah. Actually, like when they edit this, they'll make it sound like
just
I can say the word.
Just leave all of this in.
Yeah. Actually, that would be ideal. Spirituality.
So religion and spirituality, those two things. Listen, now is not the time for y'all to stop listening.
No.
We're not going to talk to you about Jesus Christ. You know, because come on.
Right, because he has his own book. He doesn't need his own podcast.
He's
so
tired.
It's not about
He's
him.
rose from the dead. He's spending all this time trying to make sure that people know he was not a white man with blue eyes. It's a lot going on with Jesus, but we're not going to talk to you about him.
No,
we're going to talk to you about religion.
Yes,
and spirituality. I actually know nothing about religion. So this is going to be great. Do you know anything about religion, Adam?
When I was growing up, I'm like the area I'm from, it's just a lot of white people, a lot of white Irish Catholic people. And my mom, I'm really grateful for this because my mom really wanted us to be well-versed in other religions and to teach us about other religions. Cute. So I don't know a lot about religions, but my mom was really adamant at teaching us about different teachings. So I'm excited to talk about this.
I'm excited too. And I have a surprise. Welcome to the show, Adam's mom. I'm just kidding. But wouldn't it be funny if she she was just well,
Danielle, I'm going to throw up because I was my mom is on this episode. I actually panicked. And that's the closest I've been to religion in a while was when you told me my mom was on here. I went, oh God,
you were
please
stepping
say
into the light.
Oh God. Yeah, I could see the light. You were holding my hand and you went, it's time.
Imagine your mom's like, hey, Adam.
She would. You don't realize that my mom would say yes, so.
No, Adam's mom is not on this episode, but please still stick with us.
Yes, please.
Because later on in the show, we will get to our favorite segment. Not that this segment isn't top tier, but Keep It or Curb It has a special place in my heart.
Mine too.
And it's basically where me and Adam just decide what we want to keep and cherish and love and hug and kiss and what we want to never see again.
Ever. I don't have anything to add to that. The only thing I want to ask is, Danielle, do you have a fun fact to share with me today?
Of course I do. And keeping in the topic of religion and spirituality, and having also nothing to do with it at the same time.
Right.
Growing up in high school, I was in this religious, not a cult. But I don't know what other way of describing it. But it was called Chrysalis. And my friend Becky, shout out to literally my white friend Becky, invited me often with her to church. And they had this like youth program called Chrysalis, where it was like kind of like church camp, where the kids go off to these, cabin in the woods. And we have all these really cool, you would call them like seminars if we were adults, but like, I don't know what the kid version
like
of them.
Breakout sessions.
Breakout sessions. Seminars. You're like, well, that sounds awful.
Yeah, you're like, you're in
seminars about Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But no, these really cool, breakout groups. Some would be like where we would act skits. Some would be just, where we would be talking about different issues that we're facing and stuff like that. But it was really like built towards just teenagers in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
But I was the only Black girl.
Did you like Chrysalis?
I loved it.
You loved it. I knew you would.
Yeah, I ended up actually going to my senior prom? Yeah, my senior prom with one of the guys who I had a crush on from the Chrysalis program, and he was like older. And
ew.
I know, right? Not like older, like out of school, but just older than me.
Right, got it. But like by 3 months, got it.
Right, he still was in high school. But he, I had him go, or asked him to go with me to prom, and he said yes. And yeah, he wore a little purple tux, which I was very embarrassed about at the time. But it actually did coordinate with my dress. But he also, during our prom dinner, he took me to a hibachi spot because that was literally the only nicest thing we had in my hometown of Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And I never knew how to eat with chopsticks.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally taught me how to eat with chopsticks.
Oh,
like
wow.
The man ate
On
every
prom
kernel
night.
On prom night, no less. He ate every kernel of rice with the chopsticks. I remember being so impressed by that. We had a great time. It was very innocent. I had the most innocent of prom nights. But yeah, I was going to talk about how I got my first kiss at a church lock-in, but I thought I would go into the prom one.
I mean, I have a feeling you'll have time to share that with us at some point.
But yeah, we can get into that. I'm blushing.
I mean, that's such a cute story. I mean, my favorite stories all involve hibachi, so that does kind of check out for me.
I want some hibachi real bad.
Me too. Oh, God, I really do love it. When they make it right in front of you, it's just so impressive.
Oh, it's so good. And I'd be like, leave the rice a little bit longer for me, please, because I like a little crispy.
I like it a little burnt.
I like a little crispy on my rice.
Yeah, you get it. My fun fact is that this is actually a fact. I went to a Catholic elementary school.
Wow. How cute is that?
Yeah. And I had a uniform. And I remember thinking my uniform was so comfortable.
Oh, what was it, the uniform? Was it
my
like
uniform?
slacks?
Yeah, it was like
You're
blue
like,
slacks. My uniform, it was like
a tube top.
It was like a tube top and a really thick wig. 3-inch heels and earrings.
Catholic honey.
Yeah, so my uniform was blue slacks. It was a white collared shirt and a clip-on tie.
Oh, I always used to want a uniform so bad.
And looking back, I'm like,
I thought they were so cool.
It is so easy to get ready for school.
Yeah, also it just evens the playing field. Ain't nobody like picking on you for having the off-brand outfit because we're all wearing this stupid outfit.
I love them. Honestly, if I could get it in my size now, I would kind of wear that merch around.
Honestly, we probably can make it happen. Do you have any pictures?
I
think we should do that on our next hangout, like recreate this.
Oh, yeah.
Uniform.
Yes, we should. We should wear the same uniform when we go to dinner next.
Yes!
Or I'll wear the purple tux.
And eat your rice with chopsticks.
Okay. Today's episode, we're talking religion. And yes, I know your mom and your grandma and somebody has probably told you that is one of the things that you should never, ever talk about in public. But why? Well, today, that's one of the things we're unpacking and hopefully normalizing is having these types of conversations out in the open. And let me just say, We're not experts, and this isn't a knock on spirituality or religion. It's not to make people feel bad in their beliefs or rituals, but it's just a conversation where we share our personal experiences. And maybe, as you're listening, you might be a little familiar with some of our experiences with religion and spirituality too. Should we dig right in? Should we go right in?
Religion.
Spirituality.
Look, these are things that literally me and Adam don't know a thing. So don't take any of this seriously, but like get your notebooks.
Yeah, get your notebooks. Don't listen, but
learn.
Yeah. Is that it? Yeah, you shouldn't be talking. We're going to be teaching. Hey.
Eyes on me.
Hey, up here.
If you can hear my voice, clap one.
Right. So, Danielle, let's go right in. Religion, spirituality. Did you grow up in a religious household? What was your relationship with religion growing up?
Definitely did. My mother was and is God's bestie. So heavy on the God, heavy on the Christianity. And we grew up Pentecostal holiness.
Okay.
And,
sounds serious.
It does, right?
Yes.
And, very much like Catholic is a thing, Baptist is a thing, Presbyterian. So the South has a lot of different versions of Christianity, which was always confusing to me. Because I believe my friend Becky, who I talked about in the Chrysalis program, I think she was Presbyterian, but also it was a white church. So I was like the loudest, clappingest thing in that place. But in my growing up in the church, we went to a church that was up the block from our house. So it was very like neighborhood. Everybody knew each other kind of thing. My mom was also like the type of Pentecostal holiness woman who wore a lace doily on the top of her head.
Oh God, I'm loving every second. I'm like hanging on
the top
word.
Of her cherry curl.
You said doily, and I went
lace doily, and
more.
Always wore dresses. Did not wear pants. My mom eventually started wearing pants, but from every like memory I have as a kid, my mom never wore pants. And then it was
so
also
chic.
So this just like every day was formal.
I love it. I love it. That is my kind of woman.
She got her home dresses. She got her church dresses.
I aspire to that.
Yeah, it's like I'm literally in the church right now. It's so weird. I can like smell the holy oil, which is pretty much now that I'm a grown up. I knew that it was. Now I know it was olive oil. I didn't know it growing up. I just thought it was anointing oil is what they called it.
Yes.
Where they would take it and make a cross on your forehead. Do y'all do any of that in Catholicism?
So we have like Ash Wednesday. I think.
Yeah,
I've seen people walking around with
we do a lot of similar things.
Yeah. So growing up, my mom. So when my mom had me in 1989.
Oof.
And then my mom.
I didn't know you were younger than me. Wow.
I am. I know. That's actually
89.
kind of. That's why this whole
I was in
episode's
kindergarten. I was reading books.
I was born. I was just popping out.
You were just coming through the canal.
I was coming through the canal. I went, oh, Danielle, she's in kindergarten?
She's reading already? That is amazing.
She can read?
Yeah, fun fact, you're reading at 4.
Oh, I was not reading at 4.
Yeah, they took away my playtime. I was real mad about that.
Wow.
I remember that so distinctly. Like, my teacher was like, we about to read at recess. And I was like, wait, what? Wait, what?
Oh, no. So you read?
And literally watched the kids play outside.
Oh, no, I don't like that.
But I literally did love the reading of it because it was like she also had mad books.
Okay.
So I was like, and then she had the ability to check me out extra books in the library. So it was a whole thing.
Oh, that sounds good.
I became a teacher's pet, like, without really trying to be. She just, like, I started reading something and she was like, wait, what?
Oh, she saw you, she took your
like
recess away because of potential.
On the wall or something. Yeah. Yes. And she was like, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, dang it. But
you
anyway,
played yourself. Yeah, you played yourself.
Did. But I became very smart.
So, yeah. And so it worked out. So, yeah. So wait, I was born in 1989 as my mom was my mom had 5 more kids after me. And so while my mom was pregnant, my mom went back to school and my mom went back to get a master's degree in philosophy.
Wow. Your mom is impressive. Welcome to the podcast. I'm gonna stop doing that.
Well, I'm like sweating every time you do it because I'm like, she would show up here. So she eventually got her master's degree in philosophy while she was pregnant for basically a decade. And her thesis was on dance because my mom used to be a dancer and she had like a studio before she had kids. Her thesis was on religion and dance and the relationship between like dance and religion. So growing up, I was in church. We were going like every day, like every morning. And then we would be there like in the afternoon because my mom would be working on getting like the mass together for the weekend.
Like,
so we were like
people
hella in church.
Yeah, I feel like we were up until a certain point. The church was like running out of funding. And I remember being in like a very much smaller space. I feel like it might have been a house. So I remember like moving from the actual church to something smaller. But then also it got into the point where like my mom was getting a divorce. And then I feel like the pants slowly came in. Like things just started changing little by little. But also churches, at least in our experience, and I feel like maybe in a lot of people's experience, it felt phony in a lot of ways.
It feels like the further away I get from it, the more I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's what like made my mom kind of pull herself away from it too, because like I'm telling you, my mom, like the woman will read the Bible for sport.
Right.
Like she's like
actually competing in it.
Yeah, she's really in the Olympics for Bible reading.
Yeah, she is.
But no, she really enjoys like digesting lessons and just learning how to be a better person. And it's intriguing, really. And I feel like church kind of didn't feel like it lived up to what the people were saying in the book.
Yeah.
And this is all interpretation because I was a kid then, so I didn't know. But like looking back, it feels like she just distanced herself because they didn't actually stand for the right principles. And then here we go getting personal on this podcast.
I'm ready to get personal too, especially when you brought up divorce, because that was a huge thing in my mom's relationship with the church. So I don't want to cut you off. I'm ready. I'm sitting back. I'm listening. I'm ready.
You didn't want to cut me off, but you did.
I know, but I didn't want to, and I need you to know that.
No, well, we can go back to your divorce talk too, because yeah, that is a big part of it. To this day, my mom feels like she can't be in a new relationship or marry again or, date. Because she used to kind of date a little bit and then she felt guilt around that. And like, it's a lot. My mom has a lot tied to her belief in what God wants for her. And I'd be like, girl, no, you can be happy, boo.
Yeah.
But, whatever. Happiness doesn't have to mean a partner, but she actually believes that she can't do that because that was like her marriage and it was supposed to be these vows under God.
Okay. I hate that for her.
I hate that for her. But the point of me mentioning that was because I feel like I always had a weird relationship with church because I've always craved that relationship with God. And like, I've had really powerful feelings in church that have felt like the Spirit. That's what, we call it, feeling the Holy Ghost and feeling close to God. My mom speaks in tongues and I've experienced that and, the falling out and all of that. It used to be scary, but as I gotten older and I got saved, that's a major thing in Christianity, getting saved and proclaiming, that God is God basically. And Jesus is Lord and all this stuff. And it like, I did all those things just so that I could get to those feelings and crave it because I craved that. But seeing how people acted outside of church and didn't really continue, like even as a teen and like having those teen friends in church and having them not really like uphold their beliefs and it's innocently enough too, like whether it's like, profanity and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, I was always like so confused and torn. And like hearing the stories that seeing it happen in Catholicism or, different priests and people using this religious hierarchy to do these things, it's always left a weird taste in my mouth.
Yes.
When it comes to how people show up in religion.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think growing up, I could see, I think when I was young, I just wasn't like really processing, like, I knew all the stories. I liked watching the videos in school. Like it was very like innocent.
Yeah.
I liked
like parables.
Yes. It was like a poem.
Like just learning how to be a good person. That's what it felt like.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know. I felt connected to that.
I did too. And I liked being at church. Like I liked it.
Right.
And we were there all the time. And my mom was so involved. And when my mom and dad were getting a divorce, my mom was like basically kind of asked to stop being so involved in the church. And my mom was so involved.
Wow.
Like my mom would put together the weekly bulletin that would, be out and like have all of the things. My mom would help like do my mom was so involved. I'm telling you, like Danielle, we were there every day. We were there every day. We were at mass every day. And we were like, my mom was working like when there wasn't mass. My mom was helping prepare, like she was doing her thesis and my mom had her like big camera there to record people doing dances on the altar. Like,
oh Lord, the altar dances. I did it for like 2 dances.
I mean, maybe you were dancing at St. Gregory's Church in Clarks Green, Pennsylvania. If that's where you toured to, then my mom.
I didn't get on the tour.
You didn't do the tour, okay?
Oh my gosh, the church dances.
But when my mom was asked to step away, it made me reanalyze like my whole relationship with religion, because I was like, if someone like my mom, if they're asking my mom to like be less involved, then like. I know people who are a lot worse than my mom and like they're fine being there. Like I just felt so disconnected to it, where it was like, oh, this is like, I still believe in like being a good person and helping others like that. I'm really grateful for that like foundational like teachings of like basically just learning morals and right and wrong. Like I'm grateful for that, but like it feels like a lot of people hide a lot of stuff behind the church. And as I got older, I didn't like that.
Ooh, talk your talk. It's crazy that shows up across cultures, because that's definitely what it has felt like in several ways. And like so much homosexuality is everywhere. It's everywhere. And that means it is in the church.
Right.
But the way that the church tries, at least how I experienced it growing up, to act like it was so wrong, but at the same time be gay and behind closed doors, or, it was just like, y'all are just constantly living a conflict.
Right. Like what's actually right? Like it's wrong to do that, but it's like, but
you still are doing it. And it's just always so like, I get the discipline and just the structure that religion brings, and, how at the core of any religion is typically just being good, inherently good.
It's the common thread of all religions. Thread,
which is why I don't understand why we have to have so many denominations and so many different kinds of religions that are stemming from Christianity. I can't speak to like, other religions, Hindu, all these other things, because I don't know how they worship and all that. But I feel like when it comes to Christianity, it's always so strange to me that there's just so many sub bullets.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like different levels of being
I think it is
extreme. It's very levels. And Danielle, this is what always something that bothers me is like when I think about the Bible. Because I think like the point of the Bible is like there's like these teachings in there, and basically the moral of the story, and this kind of goes, I think, for like every religion, is like be a good person, treat others the way that you want to be treated. Like
the golden rule.
Right. The golden rules. And then I really believe that like that the original Bible then gets translated and then it gets a little rewritten.
Child, it's just like a game of telephone. Because, like, unless we are going straight to the source and being like, okay, God, can you just write this real quick?
Right.
I'm going to share it with the world. It's like it had to, even in the idea of these, stories in the Bible, it's been spoken through.
Right.
For someone to have to write it and someone's. And then in different languages, and then and even within that, there's different, what do you call those? Versions, I guess?
Yes, like different.
King James and the this and the that. I'm like, my God, today.
Yeah, where I'm like, I don't really feel like you should be taking this word for word.
It's like, because if that's the case, then there's stuff in there that says we shouldn't even be like mixing fabric.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, well, why
are you picking
Sodom and
choosing?
Gomorrah your big problem here?
Right.
Like, why is they're like, no, it's sodomy and it's horrible. You're like, well.
Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing saying that, like, cutting your hair is like any better. Like,
I think you guys should really care about rape and murder a little bit more than you do homosexuality.
Hey,
but that's just me.
And that's just actually me too. Maybe just kind of worry about that a little bit more.
I feel like you guys should be meaner to the murderers and the rapists than you are. Thanks, brother. I can still love you, but we're good here.
Right. Yeah,
we're good here.
That is so.
But if I were to tell my mom I was queer.
Yeah.
Whoo!
Have you ever had that conversation with her?
Honey, no.
No. Wow. My grandmother, like, I never said anything to her because I knew that it would kill her immediately. I mean, she's like dead now. So,
I didn't mean to.
You're like, she's dead now.
Like,
you're hysterical.
It would kill her. So I was like, oh, he told her that.
Yeah. Yeah, I said it was COVID, but it was just me telling her that I'm gay. Which is actually the first version of COVID, is being gay.
Being gay.
So I just remember my grandmother, a big Irish Catholic lady, she was 4'11". But I remember like somebody saying something about gay marriage and my grandmother being like, they're just making a big mess of all of this. And I remember just being like, my cousins, like, we're just like, okay, we're just not going to talk to grandma about gay marriage. But like, on the flip side of it, like, my grandfather, like my grandmother's husband, left them. Like, left them, and with he had two really
how'd
young.
That marriage work out?
Right. So like, who was really making a mockery of marriage? My mom eventually
would. Straight man over here.
Right. This God-fearing man is actually the one who he left and just left
that
my grandmother.
God-like?
No, it wasn't. Danielle, he started a new family and just.
Oh, they love doing that.
They love a rebrand, but they don't love to shut down the first company.
My mom's husband did that to her.
Yeah, that was a
and
really
she feels like she
thing.
Cannot be happy. I was like, girl.
Yeah,
God is not going to see you at the pearly gates and be like, oh. You remarried?
No, if anything, he's going to go, you wore pants.
Where's your doily?
Hey, sweetheart, where's the doily? I can see your full head of hair.
Yeah, and your ankles are out. It's getting crazy. That's what I call devout.
That is something that really bothers me about religion, that people, like, they limit the experience and experience their whole life experience based. I don't know. That just doesn't.
It's based on like personal interpretation,
right?
Like how the same way it felt during the height of COVID, where everybody's movements was based on their personal beliefs of safety and cleanliness and whatever.
Totally.
Like some people never wore masks. Some people still weren't washing their hands. Some people believed in everything that they brought in their house being cleaned. Like, it's just everything was based on like a personal belief. And that's how I feel like a lot of Christians funnel through Christianity.
Yes, agreed.
It's like a lot of it becomes personally skewed and we forget other parts.
There's another like twisted part to religion for me, is that like when I travel, one of my favorite things to do is like if I'm in a new city, especially if it's like abroad, I love to go and just spend a little bit of time in like a church.
Yeah, because their church is abroad. Oh, wow.
Yeah. They're
what
gorgeous.
An architectural like history was happening here.
And it just feels
moment.
I understand the reason of why churches are important. It's just like it's a place to reflect and meditate, and I don't know. That's why I still love being at a church. I don't go to mass.
It has like a safe vibe to it. Except for I got this really intrusive memory when I was working at Essence. I got to do a video coverage about the Charleston shooting. Do you remember that church in Charleston?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Where our crazy, psychotic, evil Dylan Roof, remember him?
Yeah, unfortunately,
sat in Bible study with these people and then shot them down. Like, I went to that church and I went to the door that he came in through. I walked the path that he took to sit down. I went downstairs to where a lot of them were hiding. Like, the smell of the church, it had this, like, red, a lot of Black churches have this like red carpeting, red on the pews, the same kind of wood, that smell. And I was just like, man, I could not imagine somebody taking my kindness, my godliness, and just not even thinking twice about it and having a lesson and in them doing that. So like when you talk about the safety and stuff of church and like, going, I caught that image, like just that intrusive thought. And I was just like, wow, I couldn't imagine what that would feel like to have like the place where you feel you're safest, feel like, oh, I ain't ever going back to a church because what?
And it was during a Bible study, right? It wasn't even during
he literally sat through the Bible study. And then to have also, I think, I hope I'm not wrong in this, but I feel like in the trial, they'll show that on some of the clips on TV and stuff.
Yeah.
One of the families, I forget how many families it was because he had a lot of victims. And one of the families talked about forgiving him. And I think this happens a lot with these mass shooters or shooting situations where there is someone who is a Christian or a God-fearing person who has been victimized by someone like that. And they often offer forgiveness. And it makes me sick to my stomach because you feel like you have to do that as a Christian or something.
Right. I mean, it makes me so confused, but I think that's one of the beautiful parts of religion. Of it kind of gives you this like sort of like,
I mean, it's supposed to give you peace,
right? It's like it can give you this a little bit of like, you might find peace if you go this direction, and for some people it does, and it's just sort of like a helpful, how do I get started in moving forward? Like, I understand, I really appreciate that part of religion, but I'm so with you where it's like, you don't have to forgive this person if you don't want to. Like, you should not there should be no consequences for holding this hate in your heart. It's deserved. It's heavy. Right. We all hope to like let go of it, but there are no consequences for not being able to move forward. This person did something unforgivable.
Right. That's what I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes spirituality feels more in tune to where I want to be with it, but I still have I don't think I'm ever not going to believe in God.
Agreed.
I just think my idea of God, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all.
My idea of God is personal. It's personal to me.
Well, do you have words for your idea of God?
I mean, I think of it more as like, when I think about like, I want to create good energy for myself. I think of God instead of like a person in a chair or Ariana Grande on a single. I think of it more as like an energy, and this like, instead of like a teacher. Do you know what I mean? I don't think of like...
You don't see a thing like a person or entity. It's more of a feel.
God is a feeling. And it's
God
like...
is a feel. It's like, it's there.
Yes.
I remember, because we watched Oprah growing up,
so did
obviously.
We. Yes.
And Oprah often talked about God and everything, but she would always have these spirituality type of episodes. And I remember her talking about like connecting to the God inside of you. And I thought that was so powerful. Even as a kid, like just understanding like that there's something really powerful inside myself that I can connect to God and like I am also a God. And my mom, that language that Oprah had around saying that she is a God, my mom was like, oh no, I can't. That is demonic. And she comparing herself to God. And I was like, but isn't that what, like, we were made in his image?
Right. Exactly. Yes.
And I don't think that necessarily meant the human being of it. I think it meant that God gave us our own universes as ourselves to be the God of.
Right.
And like we go through life trying to emulate his like limit, like, and I even say his, not believing that it's a he or whatever, but like we go through life trying to imitate God's glory.
Right.
We're never going to get it, but we'll try our best to just be as close as we can to just glorious. To me, that's how it felt. And so I think, and I connected to that through like how Oprah was talking about it. And I forget who the guest was or whatever. I just remember her saying the God in me. And my mom was so offended by that.
When you're talking about this, like I remember this like on TV. I remember like, and I really believe that this is around the time that my mom was like teaching us about different religions and stuff. Like this was a real like epiphany for like my mom. Because
she was like the first time that you would see religious talk on television.
Yes.
Like Oprah was the only like talk show host that was, I think some other was with trialing, maybe no, not a Geraldo, but maybe a, what's her name? Sally Jesse or something. But
yeah,
I think Oprah was the first time on TV where like religion was talked about, because it's like you don't talk about religion.
Yes.
The same way you don't talk about politics. You don't like, I don't remember hearing other people be so upfront with something, because God sometimes used to feel Christianity too, growing up, could feel like embarrassing. Like you're a square or you're a loser.
Yes. They didn't have these like really big open conversations, which is why when like you would hear it, it was like, it would I was really like, wait a minute,
they're talking about God?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And now like, and it used to, because my mom, you know how your parents teach you little lessons around, you know, just here and there. And she would always just want us to know, like, we should never denounce God. We should never not claim our love and devotion to God. If it came down to it, you know, like, we need to make sure that we're always proclaiming and this and that. And I would, you know, used to feel a little bit ashamed to have that. I don't know why. I wish I could dig deeper into like that feeling of why it was there, but I could not live my life without connecting to God now.
Yes. And there was, when you were talking about shame, it was something I wanted to bring up that I really did not connect with Catholicism, was that everything was like, I'm sorry. It was all shame-based. Like,
yes.
I hated that.
The older I got, especially when I started having sex, and oh my God, the shame.
Right.
The conversations I would have with my like spiritual self
were like so scary. Like I felt so, it was I think a big reason of like, I wasn't even religious when I was like trying to come out to my friends or whatever, but it was like a big, I don't know, it was a lot of conversations with myself that finally when I got to a point, it was just like, okay, like what's the whole point of life? And I feel like it's to be a good person. Does this make me a bad person? Am I still a good person? And it was just, that's when I really kind of developed my own relationship with like, because I had to, I just didn't see anything that like aligned with what I was feeling.
So into conversations about religion, do you talk to your mom at all? Because, you know, she was sounding real close to God when you were talking about how she was always doing the things in church, and God really knows her. Like that's his girl.
You know, I don't have conversations about God with my mom. I mean, I think that like we are kind of on the same page of feeling like there's this energy, because my mom has totally hippied out. Like,
oh,
she really has like made her. And I think that my mom was able to do that because of studying other religions, that my mom saw the similarities, and that my mom was able to kind of create her own sort of like, these are the morals that I will live by, and that I feel more connected to this like greater sense of myself. And that's what I connect to, rather than like the God, the Buddha, Allah. Like I connect more to this energy, and I feel like those greater beings are all sort of like a synonym for the same thing. I feel like what my mom feels, that's what I feel. Like, do you have conversations with your mom about religion?
No, not necessarily. I want to say not necessarily, but I think also at this age and the way that my mom converses these days, everything funnels through God, and it just appeases her and makes her feel a lot more, I guess, at peace to know that I have my own relationship with God and that I'm praying and that I'm staying close to him. I think that just gives her this sense of hope. So I just take it upon myself to give her that. You know, my mom's 71 years old, not in the best of health, not like, you know, the worst, but just not in the best of health. And so I just spend a lot of time with her, just making sure that she just feels good about herself, good about me.
I totally relate to that. Yes.
And you know what I mean? So I funnel a lot of the conversations about God, and, you know, she's always like, well, God bless you. And I love you. And I'm like, God bless you, mommy. I love you. So it's like stuff, you know, like that. And I don't challenge her.
Right. What's the point?
The way that I used to challenge her.
Yes.
In conversations with my mom, it just feels like a comfort zone versus like real challenging of things or making her feel uncomfortable about my new age, you know, feelings on what God is and feeling like I'm a God myself and stuff like that. And so I just keep it cute and mute.
If she's not, I think if she's like not challenging you, you don't need to challenge her.
Yeah, I just want her to feel confident in my relationship with God.
My mom was always a really open and like, I don't know, she was just, her opinion of religion was always very open, and she'd never had these like harsh lines in the sand of like what was good, what was bad. I think my mom was always willing to hear out other people's opinions, which kind of helped shape my own idea of religion. But I remember with my grandmother, when you're talking about you and your mom and in not sharing that you're queer with your mom, I remember that my grandmother was so important to her that I would get confirmed. And by the time I was like of the age where you would get confirmed in the Catholic Church, it's like you're in 8th grade or something. We already weren't going to church at that point. And so I remember that like I like bootleg got confirmed somehow. Like, you know, usually you have to go through like a whole like kind of course to do it. Like you do it with your whole class or your whole like CCD class or your whole class like at your Catholic school. And it was just like, I was just doing it like on my own. And I remember I went with a friend. This is how I got like how I got confirmed. And I remember I got confirmed just so I could tell my grandmother so she would stop giving me like pamphlets about getting confirmed. So I have definitely I've run the mile.
Listen, and just to stay safe in these streets, because it's some battles you just choose not to get into. So I respect that. I feel like spirituality is much easier to converse around, but just because it's more to it and it seems more personal.
Yes.
And then I feel like when it comes to like religion, especially with Christianity, it just feels like grenades are everywhere and you just don't want to like offend anyone or anything like that. So it's just always like such a thing. Like I don't even think I definitely talk about God with my friends, and my friends know how devoted I am and I pray and I believe and all these things, but I don't think I ever really address it in a lot of the relationships I've been in. The last relationship that I was in, they didn't really believe. They had also a weird relationship with it because one of their parents is a pastor or was a pastor. And so it's just like, I don't know if I avoid it because I'm like, oh, you know, that'll make me not want to be with my partner. And I'm already like trying to commit to a partner. Or I don't know. I just, sometimes it feels like it devastates me because I've had situations where I've had a partner be like, oh, I don't believe. And I was like, oh.
Did that feel like a deal breaker?
It kind of, like, you don't believe in nothing?
Yeah.
That to me says like, oh, you don't even have a soul. Like, where do you, because then it just leads me to other conversations and other wonderings around like, well, what are you connected to? You just floating around here in the world just as a random life? Like, you don't believe in anything?
Mm-hmm.
Even though sometimes I do roll my eyes if somebody says, oh, I'm spiritual, not religious.
Right. Where you're,
And I'm like, I get it. But like at the very least, romantically, I would like for a partner to believe in God. And then whatever your relationship is your relationship with God. But like a non-believer, I do believe that's a deal breaker for me. I'm not sure I would, I don't think I could feel connected to you.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. Like, I know that, like, it's important to me that, like, with my husband and I, like, let's take him out of the picture for a second. But if I was looking for somebody, I would really want them to feel like that there's some purpose, that they have a purpose.
Yeah, because I don't know where I could, because not that I would throw God on every little thing, but like when times get hard and you really need, and it's like, you know, maybe depression and anxiety are kicking your ass, or I don't know.
I don't know how to help you.
Yeah, and again, not that I would just be like, oh, pray about it, but the connection to something greater than yourself is very helpful when the times are tough.
Right. Like my husband and I, a lot of times something like we'll say when we feel like a little lost is that like we really connect on this, like, like the universe, like you just put out what you want to the universe, or like the universe is going to guide you in that way. And for us, that's kind of like saying God. And that's like us putting out like, you know, what we want, or like putting good into the world. It like it will come back to you. Or if you do the right things and you work hard, or if you set your goals towards something, but it gives us something to kind of, it's like a, whether it's real or not, it's just something to feel like more than yourself. It can just be it feels so overwhelming when it's just you.
It feels impossible.
Impossible, yeah.
It's
really.
Like I need somebody greater than me that's going to advocate on my behalf, because I don't think I got it for myself. I also don't know. Like I need guidance. I don't know for myself what is the best. Like I might have an inkling, but I just need that decision and that feeling, that decision to be connected to something that feels like home to me. And that's why I feel like, I know it's so personal, religion, because we don't know, like, you don't know what it felt like for me to catch the Holy Ghost. You don't know what it feels like for me when I'm moved spiritually. I don't know what it feels like for you to feel like, God is speaking to you. But I know that it's happening.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Like, I don't hear a clear voice that's like, Danielle, do this. It's a vibe.
It's totally a vibe.
You know what I mean? It's a alignment. It's being led.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to describe.
It is a vibe. It's an energy.
I don't want to let that go.
It's a movement. I don't want to let it go. I'll go insane if I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
Because then it just feels purposeless for me. Like
I need a purpose-driven life.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Adam, I felt like I was scared to have this conversation, to normalize spirituality and normalize religion and spirituality, or even just having the conversations around it. But what do you think, after chatting, that we are normalizing when it comes to religion and spirituality?
I mean, there have been so many episodes that we've done where I'm like, I am a little nervous to talk about this because I don't know what I'm going to say or what we're going to talk about. And this was one of them. But I really thought that we would have a great and open conversation. And I think that's it. Again, like, I think it's normalizing having these weird conversations that you would avoid. I would totally avoid this kind of conversation, but it's really, I think, really interesting to hear about people's journeys with religion, and also where do they stand in that journey now. And so I think it's normalizing that conversation and having your own personal spiritual journey.
Ooh, it is. You gotta walk your road,
I'm walking.
I'm
walking in
religion is vast. Spirituality is also vast. It's just a big space of making sure that you are indeed a good person. Yes. And soulful. Your soul is connected to more than just listlessly walking around this crazy place we live in. But Adam, I think, normalize having these conversations in your friend groups, in your group chats, not at work.
No.
Don't do that.
Don't do that at work.
Maybe not on the first date. Maybe on the seventh.
3, 7, 1.
At least maybe the 4th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Breadcrumb it. Just see where you're at.
Just kind of throw it out there. Be like, yeah, oh, thank you, God. I have a friend that does that. A friend of mine, she doesn't, if she's just meeting someone and they don't mention God in that first meeting at some point in the conversation, she's like, nah.
Really?
Yeah. And not for nothing. She's just very much about her. She doesn't compromise. I don't want to say it in a way that's she's rigid. She just knows what she wants and she's not afraid to drop things off if it's not it.
No, I appreciate that.
When she described it, she was like, yeah, I believe in God in a way that it's going to come out of my mouth, even if they're asking me how I am. Oh, I'm blessed.
Yeah.
That is a very different reaction than just being I'm good. Blessed is oh, okay.
Right.
I'm not necessarily
favored.
being I'm God's child. And, it's she's just yeah, I'm blessed. So little things that can showcase that oh, I am this. And if that's not something that comes out of your mouth in an interesting, open conversation at all, then she's nah, it's not for me. He doesn't even have it in the forefront.
I appreciate that.
And I was
appreciate
you're right.
knowing
because that could weed through. That could just weed through a lot. A lot of unnecessary relationships. But I think that's what we should do. Normalize these conversations.
Agreed. You know what we should also normalize, Danielle?
Keep it or curb it?
Yes, my favorite religion, keep it or curb it, which has the jingle of,
That's
are you ready?
Favorite
5,
church.
6, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Keep
it or curb it. Oh, really good. So listen, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, what an episode to really break you in. Really.
Get in there.
Get in there. Start with religion and spirituality. That's really a hazing process.
And never let go.
And never let go. So if this is your first time here, this is the segment where we take a look at new social trends and we decide whether we're keeping them and holding on for dear life or we're kicking them and letting go of that dear life.
Goodbye.
Bye. All right, Danielle, I would love to kick this off.
Go ahead.
Okay. So Meta has announced it will be testing a monthly subscription service on Instagram and Facebook so their users can become verified.
No. Immediately, no.
All right. So the rest of this, it says the accounts will receive a blue badge to avoid being cited as a fake account.
A deep fake.
A deep fake. Quote unquote, Meta verified will cost $11.99 on the web and $14.99 on iOS. The service comes with perks, which
it better.
I mean, it better. First of all, I'm hating everything. Every word that's coming out of my mouth, I'm going,
it's so
God,
expensive.
help me.
The perk better come.
Yeah. Okay. So the perks, what do you think the perks are, Danielle? I will tell you. It's extra protection from impersonation accounts and direct access to customer support.
Not direct access. Can I text them? What's happening?
No, I don't like it at all.
I don't even need... No.
Twitter relaunched its own verification subscription service, Twitter Blue.
We saw. We
heard. We hate it.
That's not what a model they should be following, but go on.
No. So, Twitter Blue in December, it costs $11 a month for iOS and Android subscribers.
I would never know that.
Meta joins other platforms like Discord, Reddit, and YouTube who have their own subscription-based models. So, Danielle, How quickly can we curb this? Because I know we don't want to keep it.
It's already sitting out there with the rest of the garbage.
Yeah. No.
Like, first of all, Netflix is trying to take away sharing passwords, and people want to act like they want to up the prices. Like, Michael B. Jordan is not coming to my house and chilling with me when I watch Netflix. Like, I need y'all to give a real perk for this. There's so many people that have subscriptions. Why are we subscribing social media now?
Yeah. I mean,
that's so crazy to me. Like,
it's crazy, but I am actually surprised it's taking to this point, because like when I think of something that's like so a part of my life, whether I like it or not, like an Instagram or a Twitter or something like that, something that's such a big part of my life, I think of like, how is this free? It's crazy that it's free. Of course, there's a price to it where it's like there are the ads that are there. I need it to
stay free.
I think it should stay free.
I know somebody who's paying for YouTube, and I was like, that's so silly. But they were like, listen, you know,
I'm
them
paying
ads.
For YouTube, Danielle. It is the best money I've ever spent. It is the best money I've ever spent. I don't care if this would be my deal breaker on our date. If you tried to talk shit about my YouTube subscription, I'd go, it's not going to work, because I don't have to listen to an ad ever. And when somebody doesn't have like the YouTube paid thing and they're listening to an ad every 30 seconds, I'm going, oh my God, how's your brain not oatmeal rotting through your ears? It's crazy to me. I can listen to a video 30 minutes long, 30 minutes, 33 seconds from tip to taint, and I'm not getting a break.
I think we're spoiled. I think we need to be patient.
We should be patient. It's a virtue, they say.
No, I actually skip all commercials if possible.
Yes.
But I am not paying for any of this.
No. For these, no. To like to be able to talk to customer support, like, no, enough.
Like, girl,
stop it.
I ain't even got that kind of problem. Enough to be like, hey, help customer support. No. You know, as a content creator, I understand there are so many needs for creating monetary streams for intellectual property and things that exist online. I get it. I do. Because not everybody can get these big sponsorship deals. And so it's nice to have people be able to grow their followings and use Instagram as a subscription model, because that's where they have grown an audience. You know, that's the same work of a newsletter and stuff like that. So I can see why that would be helpful for content creators, especially if they are utilizing these platforms to give subscribers content that is worthy to be paid for.
Right. Or to have a better experience when you should. Why
just give me that experience, girl?
Right. If you can make a better experience, then why are you giving me this bad one?
At a price. You stay on the curb.
Done.
Okay, next, keep it or curb it.
I'm ready.
The e-commerce platform Shopify recently announced that they would be doing away with many company meetings as a way to free up time. I'm about to cry. To allow people to get stuff done.
Okay, so are they admitting that the company meetings help them not get stuff done?
In doing this, you have basically told us that people just be wasting time.
Yeah.
But get into this, Adam, your favorite, a bot.
I love a bot. Right.
We love bots. A bot went into about 10,000 remote employees' calendar. And purged all recurring meetings with 3 or more people. And that deleted 322,000 hours of meetings.
Oh my God.
I'm gagging because it's so good and funny. Oh my gosh. According to Shopify's chief operating officer, Kaz Nejadian. I had to sound that out. Kaz Nejadian. The company...
that sounds so perfect.
Nejadian. The company also instilled a no meetings Wednesdays policy. Get it, Shopify. Y'all better do it.
Wow.
Meetings are not gone altogether at Shopify, just so you know. But Microsoft found that the amount of time the average Teams user spent in meetings more than tripled between 2020 in 2022. Because that's where we was at, inside the meeting boxes on Zooms. So, Adam, Shopify. First of all, are you hiring? Second of all, are we keeping or curbing? Are we keeping or curbing company meetings?
Keeping or curbing?
Girl, that meeting is out there with Meta's subscription service.
Yeah, I think that it really shows that if they tripled between 2020 and 2022 of February, that people were really looking to make it feel like they were working.
Yeah.
And I think that these meetings are important to have every once in a while just to make sure that you're touching base and make sure that
you gotta be on the same page.
You got to be on the same page. But I think a lot of times it's completely pointless. And you don't get anything done, and it's a total waste of time.
Yeah, meetings have always been a bane of my existence. I used to I remember my first real job. I was a receptionist. I used to fantasize about wanting to be important enough to be in the meetings. Mm-hmm. And then as I got better jobs, I started getting in meetings, and I was like, oh my God, meetings, so cool. And then I realized meetings are just such a time suck. And also because as a journalist, and my first couple of jobs were all, digital news and, gossip and doing the trends and all this. And so you're plugged in all the time trying to file these stories. And then meetings pop up and it takes you out of your creative mind. It takes you out of your flow. And I remember just being so irritated because you would get in the meetings and sometimes I'd be like, I don't even know what they're talking about.
Right.
Or couldn't y'all have just sent an email? We're going through a PowerPoint presentation together.
Right.
This don't seem productive. And then I don't have time for lunch because now I got to go back and do the things that I missed because I was in the meeting. And it's like a reoccurring nightmare.
Yes. It's a nightmare. It's an AI nightmare.
We hate them. You know what? Make an AI version of me and she can go to the meeting.
Yeah, that's the only time AI works. In a meeting with a chatbot, that's the only acceptable version of this.
I love that the bot literally scrubbed the remote employees' calendars and was 322,000 hours can go.
Yeah. Just exact. Even the bots knew to let it go.
Was like, girl,
even the bot knew.
Send a bulletin and keep it moving.
This could be a 1-paragraph email.
So on the curb, bye.
On the curb, goodbye. Danielle, I feel like we had such great conversations today.
We always do, Adam. You be bringing it these days. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I mean,
because those other days.
Ooh,
Nelly.
Ooh, Nelly. They were not good. I'm improving. I'm growing.
Listen, you're growing. You're getting personal.
Yes, I am. I'm digging in.
And now I want to actually welcome our special guest to the show.
I'm going to barf.
Adam's mom to talk about religion. No,
for another hour.
For one more hour. People would love it because I've been told that these are way too short. People get sad when they're over.
I know. I get sad when they're over and I'm doing it.
Right. And I'm doing it. I do. I very much do. I love this podcast. And I'm so glad that all of y'all are listening and continuing to learn with us. What was your favorite takeaway, Adam?
I think my favorite takeaway was getting to talk about how I used to wear a uniform every day.
Yeah, that was very
actually,
adorable.
my favorite takeaway was that you went to prom with a guy who wore a purple tux. That is my favorite takeaway. I'll never forget that. And you went and got hibachi.
Yes. I wonder what he's up to now. Probably still wearing that tux.
Probably still wearing it. Probably still embarrassing
Legend has it he's still eating rice with chopsticks and wearing a purple tux.
Every grain one by one.
Remember, the plate was cleared.
That is crazy for a high schooler to do that. That's insane.
Right? Maybe Jason wasn't in high school.
Maybe he was actually a lot older. Yeah. He was like, I was babysitting you.
Thought you were adorable at church camp. I was.
What is your greatest takeaway, Danielle, on bated breath?
Oh my gosh. That honestly, if you're going to believe in God and like really be a stickler about it, consider hating murderers and rapists more than gay people.
Yes. I actually like this one. Yes. It's food for thought.
I really think they should think about that.
I think that they should.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the perfect way to end this episode. Maybe think about hating rapists and murderers.
Please. Hate them.
Try it out.
Start.
It's easier than you think.
Please.
So we just want to say thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. And make sure that you rate, comment, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Give us those 5 stars. Give us those reviews. Reach out to us on social media and tell us what you want to see normalized. We have both loved all of the DMs, all of the suggestions.
Yes. You guys are really on your A game.
You are. You're on your A game. So many of these episodes are inspired by our listeners already. So keep it coming. We love it. If you want to reach out to me, my handles on Instagram are @AdaRip. And on Twitter, I'm @AdamRipon. Reach out. Let's keep it going. Danielle, tell the people, how do they get a hold of the Danielle Young? How do they do it?
First of all, reach out your arms.
Mine are out.
And then use your tip of your fingers and just tap away. Tap away on your Instagram. Tap away on your Twitters at the Danielle Young, at RapsoDanny, respectively. And slide in them DMs. And then wrap those fingertips around each other.
I'm wrapped.
Clasp
You're just getting just the tips, everything you're asking for.
And thank you so much. Like, honestly, it has been so much fun listening back to the podcast and recording the podcast. And so I'm just having a good time with Adam, and you guys get to be a part of it. So we are so grateful every single week that y'all keep tuning in. So don't stop doing that.
Yeah, we love you. Keep it coming. We love it.
Keep it coming. That's all for now, ladies and gents. We'll see you next time on Normalize This. And until next time, stay blessed.
Stay blessed. I am blessed. So
and make sure you
blessed.
mention that within the first couple of minutes of meeting me. So I know. Everyone out there listening, we want to hear from you. Make sure you follow @MakeSpringHill on all platforms for weekly show updates.